So what will happen at those conventions? With us today, one of the state's premier journalists, Mark Pazniokas of the Connecticut Mirror. And Mark, let's begin with the Republican convention next week. Where do you see that going? Do you see a four-way race after that it's done?
It could be more because, as Mayor Stewart said earlier, there are at least 3 Republicans who are petitioning, 2 of whom that's their strategy to really bypass the convention. The convention could produce 4 people who have qualified by, garnering 15% of the vote. One of the wild cards this year, unlike previous years, both parties seem hell-bent on multiple ballots just because of the numbers of the candidates. So my information is both parties are anticipating 3 ballots. The way state law works, if you get 15% of the delegate support on any one of those 3 ballots, you get a ticket to the primary. So that's always the potential of will there be deals cut to help somebody in a first ballot to try to get someone else to 50% on a subsequent ballot.
Is it embarrassing for the Republicans to leave that convention without an endorsed candidate?
I don't know if it would be an embarrassment, but it would certainly be a talking point. It would be a lost opportunity to somewhat focus attention on someone. There is a little bit of a boost that candidates get when they come out of these conventions. The Republicans are looking at rules that are really designed to produce a nominee. And on the Democratic side, their party rules require them to produce an endorsed candidate. So this is going to be different. I've been doing this a long time. I have not seen fields like this. There are 11 viable candidates, I would say, on the Republican side. Fewer on the Democratic side, but they still have a half dozen Democrats out there trying to get votes and trying to get on the primary ballot.
On the Democratic side, what seems to be going on here? Because it seems like the Lamont campaign, a lot of Democrats are trying to get Ganim and Bysowitz out of the way.
Yes, certainly Senator Murphy, who is probably going to emerge after this election as the titular head of the Democratic Party once Governor Malloy exits the scene. Murphy has a young staff it's packed with people who know how to do organizing. He is taking the lead on doing a coordinated campaign for the Democrats, and I think part of that role is he is showing a willingness to give a nudge to people. I think that played a role in Jonathan Harris exiting when he did on the Democratic side. You're certainly seeing that in the 5th Congressional District, where there's going to be an open race for Congress. There's a former Teacher of the Year, Johanna Hayes, who is definitely getting a lift from Senator Murphy, if not directly, then certainly from his staff.
There's one Republican who told me they hope it's Ned Lamont because they can argue that the Democrats are going with someone who's just like someone they criticized before, Tom Boley, in terms of the self-funding aspect of his background. And also, this is someone who could not beat Dan Malloy.
No, that's true. Ned Lamont has lost 2 statewide races, a primary against Dan Malloy, and he won a primary against Joe Lieberman, lost in the general. So, that's a fair comment. Ned Lamont is untested to that degree. On the other hand, he has been through, again, 2 statewide cycles. You do learn from that. I think he's a slightly different candidate this time. He seems to have a little bit of a sharper focus. But there's still a question that I hear among Democrats is, does he have the toughness to go toe-to-toe in a primary and then in the general? But right now, there does seem to be momentum behind him. I think that's been quite clear the last couple of weeks.
Do you see Susan Bysowitz and Joe Ganim leaving the convention with enough delegates to make the primary ballot?
Susan Bysowitz, yes. Mayor Ganim, that's really the wild card. He enters the convention with one big advantage, which is he hails from the city of Bridgeport, which is the largest city, and will be there with 90 delegates. But you need 300 to get to 15%. Mayor Ganim has a couple of challenges. One is obviously the criminal conviction from years ago. Another one is he is barred from the public financing program. So that also alarms some Democrats. Will he be, if he should win a primary, would he have the financial resources to wage a competitive race?
Wouldn't the Democrats all coalesce behind him if he is indeed the nominee?
I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, I certainly know Democrats who have their doubts about backing a statewide candidate, again, who has the criminal convictions that he does. And, he has tried to make this is about second chances, about redemption. We'll see if that is something that can play statewide.
Any talk as to who Lamont might pick for a running mate?
A lot of talk. I don't know any of it so far that really means anything. There has been a rumor a day for several weeks about that, and all of them have proven to be false so far. So I've resolved in the next few days not to be chasing my tail or those rumors to that degree. I mean, we'll see. They're quickly getting to the point where they're all going to have to come up with running mates. It's smart strategy going into a convention if you make the right partnership. It certainly helped Dan Malloy 8 years ago with Nancy Wyman.
Absolutely. All right, Mark Pazniokas from the Connecticut Mirror. Look for his coverage on his website every day until November, because it's going to be quite a race, isn't it?
And then I'm going to take a day off.
Good for you. Well, your daughter's getting married. You
That's
deserve
true.
that. Good enough. All right, Mark, thank you very much. And just a reminder, we have special live editions of Face the State the next 2 Sundays because of the conventions. Next weekend, of course, is the Republicans. They're at Foxwoods. And the Democrats are in Hartford, but they're the following week. And we want to leave you with some sights and sounds from our archives. Big news this week for Electric Boat. The state announced that about $850 million is going to be invested by its parent company, General Dynamics. So they're going to be adding about 1,900 jobs. We leave you with some old film we found in our archives of the christening of the USS George Washington, which was a ballistic missile submarine in 1959. Have a great Sunday.